We are joined by a very special guest right now. This is R.LUM.R.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming and playing for us today, man.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's our pleasure. This guy has a great EP, debut EP. Came out in August. It's called After Image. He's going to do 3 songs from us today. For us today. Tell me a little bit about the first song you're going to do for us, man.
The first song is called Suddenly. It's one of the later tracks on the EP. That one's a bit, I think, personal, but I mean, as they all are kind of pieces of me or whatever. Pieces of me. Anyway, wow. But yeah, I don't know. I really like that one because I feel like it's a bit of a study in just like kind of falling apart with someone else, and maybe being in that kind of angry phase about like how you just really weren't who I thought you were, you know? So, yeah, that's kind of where I live when I'm in that one, so.
All right, cool, man.
Let's get it.
I always thought that it was deeper. You love me like a favor, trying to make me a believer, trying to act like you're a savior. You say you're living in the moment, you say it's only human nature. You say that love is letting go, but you don't. Way too quick to be casual. Suddenly I don't care. Suddenly I don't care. I don't care. I'm familiar with the absence. It's a vacancy, I know. Well, I got 20 years of practice at letting people go. I hear everything you're saying, everything you want. It's like we've had this conversation before. Way too quick to be casual, way too late to be natural. Suddenly I don't know you. Suddenly I don't care. Suddenly it don't matter whether or not you're there. I don't care. Suddenly I don't care. Suddenly I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Suddenly I don't care. Suddenly I don't. Suddenly I don't. I don't care. I don't care. Suddenly I don't care. Suddenly I don't care whether or not you're there. Suddenly I don't know you. Suddenly I don't care. Suddenly it don't matter whether or not you're there. I know if you leave it's no different. It's not like you ever were here. It's strange to be suddenly missing something that never appeared. I don't care. Suddenly I don't care. Suddenly I don't care. I don't care.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So I'm curious about this this record that you just put out. It's your first EP.
Yes, sir.
And what I know about you is that you started out playing classical guitar. You studied it in college.
Yeah.
And so my natural curiosity is, at what point did you start to sing? Were you always a singer while you were playing? Because that's one kind of guitar that typically does not go with the vocal part.
Yeah. Typically, yeah.
So,
sure.
you know, like as you're coming out of school, I mean, you're getting into, you know, performance. Were you always singing?
Yeah, I started singing when I was a kid, pretty early on. My grandmother like had me in the church, you know, and she always. I guess I sort of regret that. Like I wish I had kind of stayed in that, but I don't know. It serendipitously ended me up here talking to you. So
I've been waiting this whole time.
I've been waiting for all of my lit. But yeah. It was a bit of it took a lot of twists and turns. My musical journey was kind of serendipitous. My mother has always been a singer. My sisters were singers. So I guess I maybe picked that up from them. But I didn't start playing guitar till I was in high school. And my classical guitar teacher, this guy, Doug Seth, I remember him being like your music teachers can tell when you're sight reading. Yeah. Like you don't know the music, you know what I'm saying? And he kind of called me out and was like, yo, you don't know this music, you know? But I was like, I don't have a guitar because I can't afford one. But he was like, you should get one. So I got a job, and then like a little 14-year-old job working as like a busboy or something dumb. And then saved up my money, bought myself a little Yamaha CG101, you know what I'm saying, a little nylon string, and started doing that. And then I was listening to a lot of like music at the time, a lot of like rock and bands and progressive music and stuff like that. And it just always kind of fascinated me. And I was like, you know, I have thoughts, and I have been singing for a little while, and it just kind of seemed like it made sense to put the two together. You know, I was just definitely writing songs about like girls that didn't like me or whatever, but that's like high school stuff. So yeah.
I mean, it must have been kind of tough breaking out that falsetto like in the Florida bar scene. I mean, was that something that you were, you know, itching to do, or like how do you? That's got to be a hurdle to get over.
Yeah.
For a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of start like a lot of the male vocalists that I was really into at the time were like they always had this really high vocal, like this high tessitura, like Claudio Sanchez from Code and Cambria.
Yeah.
And
about as high as it gets.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even think that's falsetto. Does that guy have a
no,
falsetto?
Exactly. It's
He's
like yeah, he does,
voice.
but it's like full voice for real. Like and Anthony Green from Circus Survive.
Yeah.
And dudes like that. So I always wanted to be like them, but like as you can tell, my natural voice is like way lower. So I think I worked on that falsetto just like to be like them because they were who I idolized growing up. And I don't know, I just kind of could never do that. It's funny that you talked about the falsetto because like I did that for so much longer. Like I always felt more naturally comfortable there for some reason than with my lower voice. It's not till maybe like the last couple of years that I started working on my low voice.
Were those the singers? So like, I mean, were you into sort of like so those are sort of like some prog rocky guys that you just called out. Yeah. Were there also sort of like the more sensitive, you know, Fleet Foxes, Sufjan Stevens?
I love fam. Those are two of my bruh. I'm telling you. Okay, I have a playlist on Spotify called My Last Year in College. And just my last year in college this is an anecdote, but last year in college was really difficult because life is hard. And you named two of the like 4 bands that are repeatedly in that. Like Fleet Foxes was a huge deal for me. Sufjan Stevens, R.LUM.R was a huge deal for me.
Yeah.
Nick Drake was a big deal for me, especially as a fingerstyle guitar player.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah, cool. So I'm going to ask you more about your music, but why don't we get back to some music? Sure. Tell me a little bit about the next song you're going to do from us from After Image.
Okay, this next song is called Close Enough, and this one I think is just about kind of that push and pull in relationships and how like things can be, a relationship can be kind of dichotomous. So yeah,
cool.
Let's get it. Dichotomous. I feel like that's like a double word score.
Check it off the list of all the words that have never been said.
Pretending to be myself, and I know that I'm somewhere else. All that's left is where you are. I got a heart like a hotel, but you're the only clientele. Trust the room, paid with my card. You come, you go, whenever you please, whenever you need to. You say, 'cause you know thing. I keep tripping on both my feet, trying to keep myself away from you. Oh, you go whenever you please, whenever you need to. You stay, 'cause you know it's hard for me to disagree with you.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks.
I'm happy to see you play guitar.
Yeah.
I was hoping that would happen.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. As much talking as we did about guitar.
Yeah, right. You know. So you know, how did the skills that you developed when you were being taught guitar move from sort of classical to the more kind of pop or
That's
R&B? Like, was that an easy transition? Like, if you know these chords, you can kind of find your way to those chords. Is it intuitive?
I think like what you just said, like if you know these chords, you can find a way to, like, that's like a music theory thing, I think. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't know, this is a long conversation we could have, and I've definitely had this conversation with a lot of people, but music school, at least in my experience, you get a lot of like, or like any like art school, I think, you get a lot of like good things and a lot of maybe not so good things. For me, like music school for me was like a microcosm. You kind of exist in this sort of bubble where you're kind of like competing with each other and doing all these things like with each other, but that's almost, a lot of times it's not indicative of how people actually interact with music and art in the real world. Yeah. To me, you know what I'm saying? Because like I've seen plenty of cats like kill it at their juries and then go to play at a bar and they're like, why is everybody ignoring me? It's because they came to drink, you know what I'm saying? They didn't come to see you most of the time. And that's something I kind of learned in those bar situations. Is like my man off camera is like, yeah, well. But like that's one example. But a good thing I think I got from music school is like a work ethic and like the ability to practice and like the ability to like, you know, be self-critical and hopefully not to like a damaging degree.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean, there's lots of ins and outs, but definitely the technical things that I picked up there definitely were helpful. For me, I think. Yeah.
And in terms of like the sound of the record, I mean, you know, when I listen to the record, you know, there's some heavy instrumentation on there, like electronic stuff, synths, keyboards, big beats, program stuff.
Yeah.
When you write these songs, when when they're rattling around in your head, how do you hear them before they come out of you? Like, do you hear them on guitar? Do you sit down with a guitar and that's how you kind of hear the foundation of it?
Yeah, a lot of like Frustrated, as you'll see me play it. Frustrated was written just the way that I'm gonna play it, and then I got into the studio and like met with the producer and all that stuff, and I'm like, but I love like all these electronic and synths, like Porter Robinson and like Sweater Beats and Sneaker Pimps and like all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I enjoy these sounds and enjoy these atmospheres and that stuff that's just like bigger than the guitar, you know, because like for me, I can only get so far with these 6 strings, you know what I'm saying, and then like, but like keyboards have certain voicings and things like emphasis and stuff that you can put on drums and like rhythm and push and pull, you know what I'm saying, that I can only do with certain instruments, or at least in the way that I hear in my head, you feel me?
Yeah.
So I kind of go into the studio a lot of times like maybe knowing what sounds I like at the time, because that stuff, you know, changes as you get more influence and listen to stuff. But it's also fun to just like explore. For instance, "Show Me," which is one of the older songs, that like that like vocal thing, that's a big piece of it.
Yeah.
Was just like I was learning Ableton and I was learning how to chop it, and I was like, oh, I'll pitch that one, boop, 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 boop. And then they moved around and it turned into that, and I was like, oh, this is sick. Let's build something around that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I try not to think of it as like I have to start in one medium and it has to start and do this way. You know what I'm saying? I'm really trying to get away from that because I think I trap myself there a lot.
Yeah.
But just kind of being open to the exploration and the process of just like, oh, this is cool. I like that. You know?
So you're sort of like when you're in the studio, I mean, you came into the studio in your first go with like some serious guitar chops. What about all the other elements of it? Were you sort of learning from scratch as you went?
I mean, basically, yeah. Like I was saying, for "Show Me," which was like the first song I released a minute ago, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago now, I was just in there learning Ableton and like, oh, it can do this? What if I do this thing? And it just, a lot of happy accidents happen. And then like I found out about like synths and software synths and like stuff like that. And like, oh, that's how you get that sound that I thought was cool on this like Porter Robinson record or whatever, you know?
You feel like that magic is kind of almost a result of the fact that you were banging this out as you know what I mean? Like you were learning as you go.
Yeah.
And there's a certain kind of like, I don't know what you call it, like an innocence to it.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, innocence is a good, I guess.
You know, like maybe in a few years when you're an
Wow,
expert
yeah.
at this stuff, it might get harder.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess. There's a lot of things that rattle in your brain as you kind of learn more. You know, each sort of question answered kind of begs more questions, I guess. But I guess that's part of the pursuit of all this. So
Yeah, cool. And now we're going to strip it way back to your original form, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me a little bit about what this last song is.
This song is called "Frustrated," and it's. I mean, I think a lot of people take it as maybe like a relationship thing, but I wrote it as like a letter to myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I call it, I guess, like a mirror song. It's just like, for me, there's just this. Sometimes there's like this kind of warring maybe relationship with like what I want to do versus what I should do, or like where I should be versus where I am, or like all these wild things that go around in my head. So, yeah, that's what this is.
Cool, man.
Lit. Song is called "Frustrated."
Here I go talking about the same thing, in and out as quick as you can fade away. It don't matter what I say if you want me to change it to the sky all night. You give me your kaleidoscope and monochrome, so unlike the way you color me at home. Some days it's so vivid, mostly I would rather be blind. I'm not alright right now. I'm having trouble seeing you for what you do. I'm not alright, worn down from me believing that you love me too. I'm frustrated over you. I'm frustrated. I'm a fool. I'm frustrated over you. I'm frustrated. I'm a fool. I'm needed just as soon as I don't care to be. Lost in the convenience of your memory. I'm screaming underwater every time I say goodbye. I'm not alright right now. I've never been the type that you can just abuse. I'm not alright. Cause it never seems like you're the one that has to choose. I'm frustrated over you. I'm frustrated. I'm a fool. I'm frustrated over you. I'm frustrated. I'm a fool. Encapsulated by your apathy. Love me like a common melody, yeah. Leave my Charlotte in a basket and force me with your hand. My indignation goes beyond my neck, and I'm not show up when you least expect. And whose final scene it is will be left up to you.
Thanks.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
So are you pickless all the time? Do you finger pick?
I straight up thought you said pickles.
Yeah.
Are you pickles all
You
the
never
time?
want to miss. You never want to mix your P's and D's when you're talking to me. Yeah,
About pickles for sure. We'll let the audience feel that one.
Yeah. No, do you are you a finger picker all the time, or are there pick situations?
Generally I'm pickless.
Pickless.
Yeah, generally I'm pickless. I'm sorry. I'm 10 years old.
Yeah, no, I
I'm
know.
sorry.
I went there too.
Yeah, generally I don't play with any picks because I got 4 on my fingernails. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, right.
And I feel it's just a little more accurate. I've kind of tried to do the pick thing, and I don't know why, it just didn't work for me.
Yeah, I always I don't know. I'm always asking people, great instrumentalists, about how they do, what they do, why they do it.
Yeah.
A lot of guitar players I've talked to said they can feel the strings. They like feeling the strings with their own hands.
For sure, especially when you're like really trying to dig in and whatnot. Yeah, there's like no proxy between me and the strings. It does.
Right.
I guess it's just it's more natural to me because that's the way I started playing guitar.
Yeah.
So as much as I'd love to hit, my Coheed pitch harmonics or whatever, I feel better this way. So
Cool. Well, that's my one technical question. So
Sick.
this is R.LUM.R right here.
That's me.
He's got a debut EP. It's a great record. It's called
Thank you.
After Image.
Thank you.
Came out in August, and everyone can go pick that up. There's a website. It's wearelumr.com.
Yes,
That's
sir.
WERLUMR.com.
Nailed it.
Yeah. First try. I was practicing. And you're going to be in D.C. tomorrow night on tour.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
And then some dates after that, presumably. I think you're headed south. Is
Yes,
that right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Down to your home state.
Yeah, man, back to Florida finally. Yeah.
Back to Florida. And so all those dates are on the website I just said. So definitely check this guy out and pick up the EP. So, man, thank you so much for coming to Pace and playing songs for us today, man.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This
Yeah.
has been a blasty blast.
All right,
It's
man.
cool to be here with like all this history. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
All
man.
these
You
tapes,
are now
so.
you are now history.
Sick. Sick.
As of officially right now, you'll be on these walls. So yeah, man. Thanks again, and please come back and play our studio anytime. All right.
Thank you. I'd love to.
All right.